think it's a bit boring. Yo, yo! I see you looking. He's all in HD today. Yes, got a new camera. So today I'm gonna show you how I made my new track, Arrival. But first, I need a good cup of coffee. So, this is the project. I've tidied it up a bit so you can see properly what I did for this track. I think it would be best to start from top to bottom. Let's start with the kicks first. Here's the top kick. Just a simple kick that I use in my track with Ransom and ANG called Can't Hold Us. Basically just a kick with every low end and mid end taken out of it. Then next we have the normal kick. It's the Cashmere Punchy kick. It sounds pretty hard on itself, but if you laid it with a nice clean top kick, you get a real crispy sound. Then we'll move on to the percussion. So for this one I used like some claps, some pre-claps which will start just before the kick, but they hit at the same time as the kick is playing. So you have a little bit of groove. I don't think I'm too good at groovy stuff, but a little bit like this I can manage. Let's see, we have some claps on the kick, on the second part of the drop, and then some percussion just to make it like groovy a little bit more. Let's see, next we have some snares to build up towards the first break, and the only break. Let's see, the fun stuff. Let's start with the bass. I have a main bass for the sub. It's this one. It's just a silent one, sub layer, as you can see. All licensed to me. Yeah, it's just a sub. No, I think I cut a bit of the highs. Yes, everything is gone. I boosted it a bit, around 55 hertz, 1000 hertz, 55 hertz. Sorry, nope. Next up, we have the main bass. For the intro drop, if you combine those with the kicks, you can get a really groovy part. Another bass lines, like some high end, so it's like really punchy. This is actually a Spire preset. It's a sequence, which I just lower down a bit. Effects, yeah, just EQ, boost a bit of the highs and the mids. Take away the lows because we already have those lows in the sub frequencies. No need to make it more difficult for the mixing as it already is. Because this was one of the most difficult tracks of the album. It went through like 15 versions and Amada kept saying, nah, this sucks, this is too long, this is boring. And I was like, try again, try again, try again. And that's like basically the whole album process has been like this. Some tracks easier than the other ones. Some were really easily made. Some were like took a lot of takes. At the end, I think the result has become really cool. Then we have another bass line, just a simple saw bass, which I did a little Chainsmoker simple delay on, so it's like really wide. If I would take it off, it would sound like this. So now it's like all the way to the side, so you have all the other basses in the middle, and this one like only comes like once every bar, so then you have like a really cool spatial effect. So if you combine the whole bass pattern with the kick, then you have something like this. So I want to add something more to this drop, and I found a preset which is more like a stab kind of sound, a little bit like the old trance days. It has a really cool glide function, so it glides from one note to the other. So if you play one note, it goes towards the note instead of going straight to that note. Next, I took again the lows away, added some OTT for some extra compression, did some weird stuff with a sample. I don't know why I did that, but still. So that's basically how I made the first drop. like the intro drop. Then we get to the interesting part, the part where I spend the most time on. If you check the first video, which is on my YouTube by the way, just saying, you can hear a large orchestral section in the track, and it's not in the final single. And I did this because for the singles I'm really aiming for that DJs can play it as well, and it would be too long. But in my new live show, in the album version, there will be also with a version of Arrival with the big orchestral part. Like every track from the album will have a big long album mix where yeah, you can have all the orchestra elements which you won't get in the single version. I thought it was kind of cool to give the track some more elements. So the main part, the synths. First synth is this one. I use the complete control ARP function for this. ARP function for this. And this way it makes like it looks like straight notes. So the ARP function makes it like really progressing fastly, which I really thought was really unique for this track. And for this track it was like question response in the melody department. So you have like this lead is the synth 1, it's like just a basic aggressive super saw. And then I have like a sort of guitar melody. So basically I made the whole melody like 8 bars long, and I just cut out every second, 4th, 6th, 8 and put it into a different channel with a different sound. So you have like cool progression from one sound to the other sound and keep it interesting. And then for this guitar, which is like, let's see, it's from Serum, but I want to give this guitar a little bit more width and a little bit more room. So I made I duplicated it. And then I added the delay, put it an octave higher, so you have a really big space around it for the break. So what I also added in this part were some effects, like some impacts, some really cool machinery sounds which I found. And I have some little growl to make it like really dark. And all these things like really create an atmosphere for this track and for the show. This was it's the first single of the show. And I think when you hear this, you hear something bad is coming. That's what I wanted to create. I want to create a world for this track, a world for my show, world for the... Everything has to be like following the same storylines, the same sounds have to be comprehensive with each other. So it took a lot of time looking for a lot of sci-fi samples, a lot of different stuff that I usually don't use. So after those sounds, I added some orchestra elements. For this one, I only use a trombone. It's like this. It's like basically just a big fart. Sorry to all the trombone players. And I added some male and female choirs to it. That's the male choir. It's a choir from Contact. It's from the Requiem library, which is really cool for these Nordic kind of Skyrim-ish choirs. And we have the female choir, which is just more like a melodic kind of progression, so it really builds up. So as you can hear, this track is all about progressing, going upward and onwards. Like really this builds and builds and builds and builds into the last big drop. So if we go to that drop, I'm gonna leave the build-up for what it is because I don't really care that much on build-ups. I just make sure... Shut up. Oh. Shut up. So for this second drop, the main drop, I added one more bass line, which is like a rolling bass line. It's again a sample. Damn, Husman, you use lots of samples. So what? I like using samples. And I automate them a little bit, animate them so they go upwards a bit. And if you layer those with all the other bass lines, you get... And then the last but not least, the part, I tried so many stuff to keep it interesting, and in the end, the most basic idea was the best idea, which is just use the main melody in a chord and go from there. So you get something like this. Everything combined. that's how I made Arrival. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I have a little surprise for you. In the description below, I have added the stand for Arrival. I'm really curious to see what you come up with them. Send them to the email below and I will check all of them. Really thankful for all the response so far on my new show, my new album, my new video. It's really humbling to see that everyone is watching it around the world. And yeah, it's only the beginning. I got lots of more music for you coming. Lots of new story elements. Go to my website, husmanmusic.com, if you want to see the backstory of chapter 1, which is like really extensive version of what you've seen on the video. And I'll see you guys next week with a new video. Take care. Bye bye.